So, guys, this is my weekly report. I'm one day late. As you know, I've been in Alaska for the last week. So, I want to talk to you a little bit about that. We're up at Alaska, up at this lodge called Shelter Lodge. You can Google it, shelterlodge.com. And you could go on my Facebook page and see a lot of photos. I did some videoing and showed a lot of what we were doing up there. We targeted black cod. It's a one really good sable fish. It's probably the best eating fish I've ever eaten. We catch them anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 feet. Obviously, we're using electric reels to catch them, and they average anywhere from probably 5 pounds to 20 pounds. The limit on them is 4 day, and you only can have 8 a year as a non-resident fisherman. But it is some of the best eating fish you ever ate. Then we caught some halibut. Biggest one caught in my boat was 90 pounds, and we actually caught a 90 and a 80 almost back to back. And then we caught a lot of. They have a slot limit there, so they have to be like 20 to 60 pounds, and then anything over that you can't keep. And I think it's like 150 pounds or bigger you could keep. So those two we had to toss back. So we took pictures and threw them back, and I posted it on the Facebook page. This king salmon season there this year was really slow. They actually shut it down, but the silvers got there a week before we arrived, and we had a ball catching those. We would set out on downrigger, trolling hoochies. They don't use bait, and trolling hoochies behind 11-inch Dodger, and they use short setbacks, and we were when you go through a school, you have four on, so it's always like three or four on. We caught a lot of silvers. When we were halibut fishing, we caught a Pacific cod, which is also a good eating fish. And rock fishing, some of the guys went rock fishing, and as soon as you drop it down, as soon as it hits where they're at, you have one on. It doesn't take very long to get your limit there. It's real fast. And then some of the other stuff we did, we went and dropped some shrimp pots out one morning in 400 feet, and we went back, after the day of fishing, and we had like 80 shrimp in there, and they're anywhere from probably average around 4 inches, and they are delicious raw. We had some cooked, but we ate when as soon as they come up in the boat, I grab a bunch of them and tear them apart and eat them raw. They're really good. Dungeness crab, it's a little bit different there. Over here, over Bodega, I've been doing it forever, and we're soaking anywhere from 80 to 150 feet. And in Alaska, they soak in 10 feet of water. It's real shallow where they get them, and they have a lot of them there. Then for fun, when we get back to the dock, I tell my boat captain, hey, get me back there like a half hour early, and we're sitting in like 30 to 50 feet and drop down a sabiki rig, and we're catching flounders. And these flounders are anywhere between 6 inches and maybe 12, 15 inch. And we really like eating them, so we would go back and fish for half an hour and get like 30 or 50 of them. But the place is just a beautiful place to go fishing. Um, we went after this one thing. They got a new thing that they found. It's called this magister squid. They only live a year. They get anywhere from maybe 1 to 4 pounds, and there are abundance of them. And they're down there like 600 feet. And we went out and caught them. We lost a lot of them, but look on my Facebook page. I caught one about 4 pounds. I was using an electric reel. Ed, my buddy, he was using a hand crank, and he was losing them because when he stopped reeling, they would fall off. But it's just a really good experience. Everybody had a lot of fun on this trip. I usually go every other year, and I take 20 people with me, and we always have a good time. So that's what I did for the last week. So I've been kind of out of the scene here, but it doesn't look like too much has changed because it's still hot. I got friends I contacted, and my brother and my nephew also do a lot of fishing, so I talked to everybody to see what was going on. I think the hottest thing right now, and everybody's all excited, is the albacore. My brother and Michael, who's a Kuma rep, went out of Bodega. They went out 30 or 40 miles and they caught seven. They're all good size. They were like maybe 10, he said, the smallest, and 25, the biggest. So it's a good grade. They're trolling Zookers. And I heard a lot of other things from, uh, I know that Cal Don and some of these six pack guys, I don't know if Jay or Steve Mitchell or Ricky Ocasas are doing it yet. But you could call those guys Cal Don, Jay Lopes, Steve Mitchell, and Ricky, and ask them what's going on, and they'll give you a clue what's going on. I got a friend, Steve Huber, in Oregon. He fishes Eureka, Fort Bragg, and he told me that the albacore are 60 plus miles out. So it's very important that you watch the water. You could go on some of these websites and see where the warm water temperatures are, because in one day it could drift out 20 miles. So, you always want to try to find that 59 to 60-degree water. And he told me he's been going out 60 miles. But you can contact these guys. You can Google their name, Steve Uber, and you can give him a call, and he can give you an idea, how far they're out, and when the weather. And he could actually, if you want to make a trip, he could help you book the right day. Other than that, haven't heard too much about bluefin. I know there's some guys sneaking out doing it, when weather permits, but haven't heard anything locally here. Inside the bay, I'm sure they're still catching halibut. I'm pretty sure the bait receiver's still open. The stripers, most of them have left. They're already headed toward the delta, but the leopard shark fishing's still off the hook. And I know that some of them six pack guys, like Jay and them, are doing leopard shark trips, and they're catching anywhere from, like, I guess 20 to 50 fish, in half a day when you're out there. So the fishing's been really good, and you pick up some other kind of sharks, but they target the leopard, but you'll catch other ones. So talking about the stripers, they were loaded in the bay the last month, and they make their move and they'll head down to the delta. So usually around, before I left Alaska, I was out by Collinsville, and I fished all the way out to Pittsburgh. I found a lot of stripers, and they were like anywhere from 5 to 8 pounds. I had one over 10 at the boat, but it came off. But there's a lot of fish out there, and all those fish from the bay are coming in the delta, and they'll be from like Pittsburgh all the way to the Port of Sacramento, Liberty, and all those areas. They're Real Vista trawlers like Mark Wilson and these guys, Clyde Wands, the guys that invented that kind of fishing. They've been hammering them, so they've been using deep diving, Zuris, and they've been catching a lot of fish, 20, 50 fish a day, and they've been getting some decent ones. So it's time. I'm gonna get out there real quick and go out, and I know they're doing some spooning. A friend of mine was out at over by the Antioch Bridge somewhere, and they're showing me the picture of their graph, and it's just lit up on the bottom. Rick Tees with Blade Runner was spooning them in the Port of Sacramento. Same thing. All these guys just show me their graph, and they don't have to tell me anything else. I could see, Rick's been hammering them in the port. So there's fish all over in the system in the delta, and they're gonna stay there all the way through the winter and feed and feed, like crazy, until the water temperatures warm up, and then they go up our river systems to spawn. Last year we had so much water, they went all the way to Calusa. They had a phenomenal year up at Calusa. So it looks like it's going to be probably about the same thing this year. So, the stripers, I mean, there's guys catching them in 30 feet spooning, and I'm catching them in 2 to 3 feet on swim baits. So they're just everywhere. So right now it's just a good time to get out. Bass in the delta has been really good. I imagine the weather's been in the 100 degree. When I left, I was doing really well on them, catching them, doing everything. But a lot of the bigger fish is starting to make that transition onto the wood, because the water temperature was dropping, but now it's probably warming up again. So I don't know. I just have to get out there and try. I'll go look in the grass and see, and then if the tide's right, I'm gonna go flip the wood. That's just typical this time of the year. The lakes, fall is fish know that we're getting late in the year, so because the days are getting shorter. And I talked to Don Paganelli, and he was on a decent spoon bite because during the fall, some of your best action, if you look at a lake, I always tell you guys, study the food chain that's in a lake. So if they got threadfin shad in the lake, then I would definitely pick up my spoon in the fall and I would go graft around till I find them. As you study more about the threadfin shad, then in the fall they'll move up the river arms, the main feeders to get ready to spawn. The bass are going to follow them. So when you get the mature threadfin shad moving up the river system, that's where your bigger fish are going to follow. So Don told me that in Berryessa he's been on a good spoon bite, then he'll lose them, and because it's really early, so you start getting these little clusters of fish moving up chasing these bait fish. And another thing is, when you guys are out there, I did a video at Folsom. I did one at Berryessa last year, and I just go out there and look for the greaves. When I see those birds on the top, then I'll get over there, start grafting, and most of the time they're always on that bait ball. So, that's one of the things. Like right now, it's just to get on that fall spoon bite. It'll last all winter. So, if you want to learn how to do it, you want to go out by yourself, give Don a call, and he's one of the better ones to go out there and show you how to do it. Other things going on in our lakes. I was headed home the other day on my flight, and a friend of mine, Pete, passed me on the highway and texted me a picture of an 11-pounder he caught at Clear Lake. He had a 33-pound limit, and I didn't ask him what he's getting them on, but I would bet it's probably some kind of glide bait or swim bait. This is time of the year. So it looks like all the lakes, whether you're in the mother lode or anywhere, you're going to catch a lot of fish. A friend of mine was even up at um, Stampede and caught the heck out of the bass. Denise was at Union Valley, caught kokanee and bass. So, I think you could do everything right now because we're getting in that winter and that transition. Those fish know they need to feed up for the winter. So other things going on, landlocked kings, haven't heard a whole bunch about, but if I were to go anywhere, it'd probably be Orville, Berryessa, or Folsom. Um, haven't heard, because I've been gone. Kokanee, Union Valley is kicking out. I know Bullard Bar, Stampede, Party, New Melones. We're coming to the end of the season now, so when you get out there, you're going to start catching some of these fish. Got hook nose, they're little slimy, scales. They're starting to turn. So you probably want to get out there if you want to do any more kokanee fishing till the end of this year. Trout, haven't heard too much. I know Big Nate's still been catching those Eagle Lake trout at Berryessa. You could go on Facebook and look at his page. He's been hammering them there all year. Um, if When I was up at Union Valley like 3 weeks ago, we got into the rainbow trout. Also, there, when you guys are out there trolling for kokanee and stuff, and you catch trout, you're too shallow. You gotta go deeper. When I went to Union Valley, I was grafting the fish, in that 30 to 25-foot range, and we started trolling in there, and they were all trout. Caught a lot of them, but they're just trout. So you could probably pretty much go up in the Sierras, any of those lakes, and do pretty good right now. Crappie fishing, usually I start in the fall. I hit a lot of Berryessa, I hit a lot of the Delta, but I just haven't gone out yet. I'll wait until the weather starts cooling off. It's just too hot right now. As soon as the water temperatures start cooling off, those fish seem to get more active into the fall and start feeding before the fall. So sturgeon, you can't keep them anymore. They had that last meeting where it looks like they're going to okay catch and release, but I would definitely wait until it really gets posted. But it looks like you're going to be able to go out and do some catching and releasing. So anyway, every Saturday morning, I'm on California Sportsman. First of the month, I go in the studio, and then I'm usually on the tail end of Ultimate Bass with Kent, and then with Sept on California Sportsman. Since I was in Alaska last week, I called in from there and talked about what I was doing, and then tomorrow I'm going to be in the studio. So I'll be on the studio and on at 6:40 a.m. on 11:40 on AM dial, talking a little bit about what's going on, what I learned from now to tomorrow. If you guys need any, buy a boat or electronics or get motor repairs or anything, go look, call Gone Fishing Marine, ask for Mark and tell him I sent you, and he'll set you up with something. So anyway, um, check out that Blind Squirrel channel because I've been watching him, and Derek's a pretty good guy. Whether he catches anything or not, he still poses it. So it's not one that you're gonna watch where a guy slaughters them all the time. So he's down to earth and real, and shows you even the days that he doesn't catch anything. So if you like this video, hit that like, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. See you later.